Mac?
Yes, I can hear you, Ira. How
Oh,
are you
yeah.
doing?
There you go. Now I can hear you. How are you? What's happening?
I'm doing well, man. How's everything going?
Thank God everything's good. You?
Yeah, everything's been fine. It's been a few months. I think the last time we talked was before the draft, and so much has gone down since then. I
Oh,
mean,
my goodness. I know. It's crazy, right?
but Rodgers is here. He's here to stay. He even said it recently that the Jets gave up a lot to get him, and he said this isn't a one and done situation. What to start off the show? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll admit I was wrong. I mean, I wanted Carr in the worst way because I didn't believe in Rodgers. I was reading everything that was coming out of Green Bay, and I thought the guy, was three-quarters out the door, and I didn't think he was committed. And it turns out that every concern I had, he checked the box. He checked the boxes, and he's here to win a championship. When he said that Super Bowl trophy looks lonely, that's all I need. That's all I needed to hear.
That's right. How's it been? You've been at these camps, which he's apparently lighting it up. I've seen all the highlights on Twitter. So you've been going to these camps. Have you had the chance to see it?
Yeah, I've been out there twice already. I'm going to get out there again tomorrow and Sunday, and it's fun. But I used to go so much more, and camp it's actually kind of gotten boring because with the new CBA rules, you take like a 2-hour practice, and it's basically they run a 2-hour practice. Maybe they go 2:15, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say for the first hour and 15 minutes, it's a lot of individual stuff, just throwing the ball around, stretching, doing this, doing that, some agility drills. And then really you get about 40 minutes of defense, offense, and that's the end of practice.
Yeah.
So it's not what it used to be.
No, but how has it been seeing the connection between him and Garrett Wilson? Because it looks like they're going to be a dangerous duo.
They will be. But, he's also going to help Wilson with his career because he's teaching him how to run routes.
Yeah.
Wilson his ceiling is off the charts, but he does need to kind of learn to run crisper routes. Mm-hmm. I mean, Tanner Moss, probably up close, off the top of my head, was the best route runner I've ever seen in live at practice. And if he ever were to get to that level, Garrett Wilson would be the best receiver in the league.
Oh, I agree. He's definitely, you see he's already shocking everyone that's been seeing the highlights, especially the one that he caught I think he was on his toes Sunday? In the back. Yeah, on the back
Sunday,
of the end zone.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. That was an unbelievable catch.
I can guarantee you this: we're not going to miss Zach Wilson this season. I know people have been seeing all these highlights in camp. I guess he had one of the throws of the day. People say he's progressing.
Yeah, that long pass. Yeah, to what's his name, number 16.
Was it Brownlee? Is he the
Brownlee? Right. Yeah, Brownlee. Yeah, the kid from Mississippi, whatever. And yeah, I mean, Zach is Zach. I mean, to his credit, he at least in not live action. Mm-hmm. He seems to kind of be a little more composed back there, but I'm still not comfortable with him as a backup.
No,
but it is what it is. What are you going to do?
Yeah, you can't really do anything at this point. With Rodgers saying that this isn't a one and done, that there could be a magical number. People are reporting 2 to 3 years. Do you think the Jets are going to retain Wilson even if they keep Rodgers here for another 2 to 3 years? Do you think they're keeping Wilson?
No, because they have to pick up his fifth-year option, and then they're not going to give a backup $20-something million. That's not going to happen.
No.
So I think the best case scenario here would be, Rodgers wins the Super Bowl and retires, and everybody goes about their way.
Mm-hmm.
But if he needs to come back for a second year, you want Wilson to play well in the preseason. Hopefully, he doesn't have to take a snap this year, and then I would draft a developmental quarterback for next year. And then move Wilson for whatever you could get to the guy.
I agree. Yeah, I think there's going to be a trade coming. Speaking of trades, Denzel Mims, he's finally been traded to the Lions. He's not going to be on the Jets this year, so we moved on from him. Do you want to bring in Dalvin Cook, or are you someone that's strong on bringing him in?
Yeah, I've been pretty vocal about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it means anything, but I am in the camp of bringing him in strictly because. I mean, listen, unless Hall turns out to be like an Adrian Peterson, which, doesn't happen very often. It usually takes 2 years before they come back, right?
Yeah.
So if he, I don't want to put a lot of work on this kid early on
Mhm.
because I think you're looking for trouble. And Michael Carter, as much as I kind of liked him his rookie year, I do have concerns about him, especially with ball protection.
Mhm.
So if they could get a veteran like Cook for the right price, I'd jump all over it.
Yeah, I would do it. They need it. The besides the running back position, the biggest concern to me is the line, and I think you know where I'm going with this with Mekhi Becton because I heard he's been getting beat. I heard he got beat bad
Yep.
today in camp. So I don't. I still feel as though they didn't address the line enough in the draft. I know they got Joe Tippmann at center, but this is a Hall of Fame quarterback now that we have to protect. We can't play games anymore. So I feel as though they really didn't address the line in the draft and in free
Well,
agency.
you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me, Ira?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, with the whole line, what are your thoughts on the offensive line heading into the season? Do you think that we got to get a replacement for Becton?
Well, yeah, I would agree with you with that. I mean, you know how I felt about him all along. I think the interior of the line, center and the two guards, they're fine. I think Mitchell will develop into a decent right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
It looks right now because I don't know what Brown's situation is. I don't know if they're just resting him until he has to get some reps or there's something going on. But I'd have to say, Billy Turner's probably the left tackle. At least that's what you see in practice right now. And I'm sure Rodgers is comfortable with him because he played at Green Bay. But what type of level are you talking about? You're not talking like a top 15 left tackle here.
No.
So, and left tackles don't fall out of trees, and you're certainly not going to trade for one because why would anybody trade a starting left tackle at this point in the year, especially with injuries coming up? So the thing that does concern me is good a job that Douglas has done recently is between his trades and last year's draft. He struck out his first year.
You're bad.
And bad, and it's coming back to bite him. And this is the thing I don't understand. This is the best roster I've seen since '98.
Mm.
And to be honest with you, he's filled every slot. Okay, you want to question the safety spots, I get it, but I think they'll be good enough. But everything else, the defensive line, linebackers are good. Skill position. I mean, everything's been addressed. They go get a Hall of Fame quarterback, but his strength, which is supposed to be an offensive line background,
is his weakness.
Now we're in what? But this is year 4 we're going in with Douglas, right?
Yeah.
So the offensive line isn't fixed yet.
No, that's going to be the biggest need.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, especially when you have a 39-year-old Hall of Fame quarterback that's going to need time back there. It's not good. You can't have a bunch of rookies. I know with Joe Tippmann, if he wins the challenge, that's a rookie. Now you're going to have a rookie going up against these major centers. Yeah.
Tippmann isn't starting. It's going to be McGovern. As high as I am on Tippmann, he's just not ready. And Rodgers is going to want the veteran. Basically, Rodgers is going to pick the center. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I don't care what Saleh says. I don't care what Douglas says. Whoever Rodgers is comfortable with at center is going to start.
Yeah, it's good to be all up to Rodgers. He's basically the offensive coordinator, and Hackett's in here. But we all know the mastermind of the offense is going to be Rodgers. But, I mean, Rodgers is loving it. This is different from Favre. You could tell Rodgers loves being here. You see him. He loves New York City. He's going all throughout New York. Everyone's following him around all through the months here. So it's going to be interesting. He's really embraced his position here. The teammates love him. And you got to wonder, what is Zach thinking? You see Sauce Gardner buying him a necklace. You see all these players doing handshakes with him, and they really like him. Rodgers, there's a different feeling in here than we've experienced in past seasons. Is this the most exciting season ever for you as a Jets fan that you can remember?
Well, I was pretty excited, of course, for the '99 season. We all know what happened with that.
With Vinny going down.
Yeah, I was also excited for the '98 season. But, and even with '08 with Favre, I didn't think that was going to work. And an injury made where my thought was right, but they did get off to an 8-3 start. But yeah, I would say this is the most excited I've been for years and years and years. And I will say this: the one thing about Rodgers is when you watch practice, the role that he takes. Basically, he's a player coach. Yeah. That kind of sums it up. And what he's doing, not only on the offensive side of the ball, but the defensive side, he's elevating everybody's play. And that's what great quarterbacks do. They demand excellence, and that's what the Brady got in New England. That's what Peyton Manning got in Indianapolis and in Denver. And it certainly looks early on that this is what Rodgers is going to get to the Jets.
I think so. Do you think we're going to be getting a super? Do you have a good feeling from what you're seeing throughout camp? And we're obviously going into I don't even want to start talking about next year, but the draft next year, it's got to be all offensive line. But it's got what the focus is going to have to be. But do you think within these 2 years, I want to call it a 2-year window, really? Do you think the Jets do finally get that second Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think ideally, unless something freakish happened this year, I would say if things go well this year, I think they get it next year. I really truly believe that. And to be honest with you, mm-hmm. I haven't felt that way probably since they went into the 2010 season. Mm-hmm. And that you were dealing with, a really good team surrounded by a young quarterback.
Yeah.
So, but now you're talking about an excellent team with a couple of spots here and there and a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
So he covered, whatever little deficiencies they might have, he just, he wipes it all away.
Yeah. Oh, and you see it. All the bandwagon Jet fans are coming out, but the Jets have a lot of hate too. I've noticed that all throughout line, they still think that we're a joke and we're the same old Jets. I mean, we still got to see them play because we've seen collapses. I mean, if you look at the Mets, they've invested all this money in that team. That just collapsed. I don't think the Jets are going to be the same way, but we always have to say it's the same old Jets. But they have to really come out here with those first couple games. And they have to me, Buffalo is a must-win game. The opening game of the season in New York, September 11th, that's a must-win game for this team.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. Now, with that, what I just said, 98, they did start 0-2. So, and they finished 12-4, so it wasn't the end of the world. But considering everything that they've put their cards on the table for this, that they've been so bad for so long, to come out. I mean, if Josh Allen takes them down the field with a minute to go and they kick a 50-yard field goal and we lose by 3 or lose by 2, you're going to be annoyed they lost, but you can't go crazy. But I think they're going to beat the Bills. I think they're going to come out, and I think they're going to win that opener. I don't feel good about the Dallas game, but I certainly feel very, very good about the Bill game.
Yeah, no, I hope so. Especially week 1, they're going to be wearing their 80s logo uniforms. They should make those permanent. I can't stand the new uniforms that we have. Maybe down the line we get those permanently because, man, it was great seeing those because I love looking back at all the old throwback uniforms. Yeah,
they look great. I wouldn't be surprised if they do bring those back, going at some point. Maybe they do that. But the only thing is every time, and I do like the helmet on the newer uniforms that they have right now.
Yeah.
But it's like every time I look at it, I think Adam Gase.
Yeah, it's Adam. We talked about that last time. They reek of Adam Gase. They got.
They have to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's the Adam Gase era. Oh, horrible.
It really is. I mean, it's listen. Nothing against the guy. He wasn't the head coach for the Jets. Let's put it that way.
No, he wasn't. He was terrible. And Saleh. What are your thoughts on Saleh now? Do you think he's because when you have such a great Hall of Fame quarterback, I mean, the only thing I can think of is if he personally makes some time decision mistakes like he did last season, is he really going to be the franchise coach? When we look at Mike Tomlin, is he going to be our franchise guy for coach?
I can't answer it. I mean, I want to believe in the guy. I think he does a lot of very, very good traits.
Yeah.
And I think he sends the right message. He may be a little too soft, but at the end of the day, if he can't get the job done with Aaron Rodgers and the roster he has right now, then he's never going to, meet that elite status head coach type of recognition that you would want to call it.
No, and then with Rodgers under center, Rodgers is not going to lose you games. This is going to be he's not going to be the cause. Last year, when we look at it early on, we'll get into the defense a second. It was Zach Wilson losing the games for us. Everyone else was playing lights out. Now, when we look at the second half of the season, we can't have the collapse of the defense like we did, because the defense fell asleep in this right after that. I'd say after that Jaguar game, but you saw signs early on with the Lions, letting the Lions come right down to win that game. We can't have that defense falling asleep second half of the season. Now the pressure's on.
You know, it's really crazy. If they had won that Lion game, they probably would end up going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But if they had won that Lion game, they might not have ended up with Aaron Rodgers.
That's true.
So you got that collapse actually probably could have turned into a blessing in disguise. But yeah, well, just time will tell. But I'm very, very, very excited about this season.
I am too. How did you feel about the first round pick, Will McDonald IV?
I really didn't know much about him. I was actually shocked when I saw him on Thursday because he kind of looks smaller than Sauce Gardner. Wow. I know his measurements aren't, but he's very, very thin. And I would think, after this season, once he gets, a full year of a off-season conditioning program, they'll probably put 20 pounds on the guy. But he is light and fast, I will say that. So considering all the talent that they do have on the defensive line, I'm going to say that at best, he's going to be a situational player this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. To me, I still think they should have went with the receiver, but I wanted the offensive lineman. Was it Broderick Jones? But we got hosed by the Patriots and the Steelers in that trade.
Well, yeah, we did, but now you know why Douglas fought. The tooth and nails, or whatever the saying is. He didn't want to give up that 13th pick because he knew he's not,
yeah.
he's a very smart man.
Yeah.
He knew if he gave up that 13th pick, he was going to miss out on something. And I know they sell McDonald and they were excited in the war room and this is the guy we wanted. I don't buy it for 1 second.
No, I don't. They're putting on a pretty good act. They could be on Broadway right now, but
yes.
The safeties positions, what really bothered me was when Chuck Clark went down. I know they brought in Adrian Amos. I think he's going to fill in nicely. He's got that connection with Rodgers too, bringing over familiarity there on the defense. But if they had Chuck Clark, I think the safety situation would be, I think it would be better off.
Yeah, I feel a little bit better. Amos isn't that much of a drop-off.
No.
But, it is what it is. I expect Whitehead to have a good year. Mm-hmm. And I think the kid they got from LSU, what's the Converse? Well, what's his name? The 6th or 7th round pick.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. He was in a walking boot first day of practice, so I'm not sure what his medical situation is. But if they ever could get him on the field, or, some of the corners are interchangeable safeties. Bryce Hall you could plug him back there for safety if you had to. So I think they're going to be okay at safety.
Yeah, I think they will too. Like we said, the biggest concern is especially with Breece Hall's help. But when we look at the running back room, Bam Knight needs to pick it up a little bit. Michael Carter, there's some issues of concern there. But how about this other guy that they brought in from Pitt in the draft?
I'm excited about him. He looks like he has tremendous speed. Once again, you got to wait till he starts getting hit if he could hold on to the ball, if he could pick up a blitz. And that's why years ago when there were 2-a-days and they really practiced, you were able to kind of get a much better feel for that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. But with the limited amount of hitting that goes on in practice, and they're so afraid that these guys are going to get hurt, it's just like glorified touch football. They block, they hit a little bit, but you really can't judge because they're not going all out. And once the light comes on and the pads are on and you're going against another team, that's why these joint practices are so important. I would have loved to get down to Carolina for one of them. I just don't have the time, but I hope to make it out to at least one of the Buck joint practices, because really, that's probably the only time you're going to get to see Rodgers go against any competition this summer. Because I think I have a better chance of taking a snap in the preseason than Rodgers does.
I think you're right. And I really don't want to see Rodgers because the main concern now with this Jets team, besides the O-line, like we said with Becton, the injuries. We already saw Chuck Clark go down. We can't have any freak accidents like what happened to Carl Lawson a few years ago in camp. No injuries in preseason. We need to have a healthy roster this season.
Well, that's why, I think it's been a little chippier in practice early on, especially the first day. The defense was flying around, and I think that's the hard knocks effect.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're trying to make the highlight films, and that kind of scares me with the joint practices, because now you could have two teams that are getting filmed, and the last thing you need is some third stringer that's getting a rep with first team, and all of a sudden he knocks somebody's head off their shoulder on a hit that shouldn't be made in practice. So as much as I'm looking forward to these joint practices, I'm holding my breath because I don't want to see anybody get hurt.
No, yeah, the hard knocks. The Jets didn't want to do it, but now it is what it is. And there's a couple of players that I read that are on the injured the PUP list. That I think with Alan Lazard's on there. I read that he was sidelined today. Randall Cobb's been on there. There's been a couple players. Uzama.
Randall, yeah. I think the Randall Cobb thing. The Jets have been very tight since the Douglas regime was taken over. They're very tight-lipped with injuries, so it's really hard to. It's all speculation, and but if I had to guess, I think the Cobb thing early on might just be it's the extra week of practice, his age, get Hardman some work. Rodgers has a rapport with Cobb. I mean, if Randall Cobb didn't practice one day, he could start against the Bills and probably catch 6 passes.
Yeah, yeah, that's a connection that they have for all years back in Green Bay. And if you had to look at early predictions, have you broke down as far as a record? What do you expect them to go this year, wins and losses at the end?
Well, I know a lot of people don't like to hear it, what I'm saying, but I think 3-3, I'd be very happy with it after the first 6 games. Mm-hmm. Everybody's, they got to go at least 4-2. Well, just remember who they're playing, right? So, you walk out of there 3-3. I think what they do is, I think they go into Cleveland, they get their 11th win and clinch a playoff spot. And I think they go to Foxborough with a chance to get to 12, win the division. And as crazy as this sounds, I think you're probably going to hear this first. I think it's going to come full circle, because what comes around goes around. And I think Belichick, when he crumbled on that little napkin that he's, stepping down from the HC of the NYJ, I think the Jets are going to go up there, win the division in Foxborough, get their 12th win. The Pats will not be in the playoffs. And I think Kraft, because they'll never fire Belichick, yeah. I think Belichick will step down. And I think that's where it comes full circle. He left the Jets, and then the Jets make him leave.
Yeah, I hope so. And they have to sweep them this year. Last year those were the 2 worst losses last year. You can't lose those games because the Patriots, they don't have that much talent anymore. It's not the same teams with Brady back in the day. You got to beat them both times this year. There's no excuses.
I agree. When I look at the division, I think realistically you could sweep the Pats, and I think that you could split with it, because I think if Tua stays healthy, the Dolphins are going to be really tough.
Yeah, the Dolphins are going to be tough.
Yeah, so I'm giving Tua 17 games. Mm-hmm. So I think you split with the Pats. I'm sorry, you sweep the Pats, and then you split with the Dolphins and the Bills, and you're 4-2 in the division. I think you're in really, really good shape heading into week 18 with a chance to win that division.
I agree. Yeah, it would be nice to see the division, the title go to the Jets this year, and the road starts. I mean, now there's no more excuse. It's crunch time, because after Rodgers is gone, I'm afraid, because the Jets, to me, they can never draft a quarterback. It just never works out.
It'll never happen. No, it'll never happen.
They can never find that guy.
And if you remember, and I'm not looking to toot my own horn here, I told you last August when we did a camp show, I told you if this don't work out with Wilson, what did I tell you?
Yeah, you told me Woody would step in.
And Woody will step in and buy himself a quarterback, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and Woody's been down. He's loving this. I'm telling you, he's down there. I see him all with the fans, taking pictures, interacting with all the players. He's like the fans' owner now. The players all love him. It's crazy to see. Have you got the chance? Are you going to be trying to meet Aaron Rodgers and Sauce and some of these guys down there?
Yeah, well, source I know from last year. I'm sure I'll cross paths with Rodgers at some point during camp or some of the road games. And yeah, but Woody's loving it. Yeah, I'm loving it. And as much as listen, he's young. I have a lot of respect for him. But he did the company line. The head coach and the GM both said they didn't want any part of it. So he said the same thing. But I think if you chat him up with some truth serum, I think he's loving every minute of the Hard Knocks.
Yeah, he probably is. It's going to be great. The expectations are there. The pressure is on now, so it's time for this team to perform. And I mean, you see the fights. You mentioned the fights before. It must have been interesting seeing, what was it, Michael Clemens and Rucker go at it? I saw that fight break out.
Yeah, and Sunday I saw Solomon Thomas go at it with somebody.
I did see something.
I couldn't see who the number on the white jersey, but and this is just non-padded. The first 2 or 3 days of practice. Wait till this weekend when temperatures are going to be on the field like 110 degrees. And they got pads on. It's going to get crazy, and I'm sure down in Charlotte when they're down there for a couple of practices, the temperatures will be about 100 degrees down there too.
Yeah, so, it will be.
Yeah, so it's only. I think it was Bowles who just put like a big no on camp fights.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Salah might have to step in. I like the energy, but you don't want somebody taking a swing and all of a sudden breaking somebody's jaw like Geno Smith.
Oh,
you don't want that.
Yeah, no. Remember how that happened. That was bad. But I think it worked out for us because Fitzpatrick came in and gave us a decent season up until that Bills game.
Yeah, it did. And it's a funny thing. I always liked Geno as a person, even though when he was young, he was a little bit of a knucklehead. I'm really glad that he, had the year he had last year when he got the contract. I'm very happy for him.
I am too. I always wanted him to win and be a successful quarterback. I just feel as though he was thrown into a terrible situation. Yeah,
it's the same thing. It's funny. You look at Geno. Well, you can make the argument with Sanchez, but he did. The team was so good that he got them to where they needed to be. But you take Geno, you take Darnold, and you take Wilson, and all 3 of them should have never started from day one.
No.
Never.
Nope. And then that was big time. Well, Sanchez going down in preseason against the Giants, but Idzik was also the one forcing them to put Geno on.
He was forcing Rex to play Geno, and Rex was fighting, and he wanted Sanchez, and that's why he was pressured to put Sanchez in that stupid preseason game, and got his shoulder wrecked, and probably wrecked his career at that point.
Yeah. The things that we saw from Sanchez, because everyone says he's a bad quarterback, he's terrible. He still had to make the throws, though. There were some big time throws. When I look at the Foxborough game that they went, and you went there because you told me the story about it. Mark Sanchez was a threat of a quarterback. He beat Hall of Fame quarterbacks in all of his playoff appearances.
Every playoff game he played, he won. He was 4-2. The 2 games he lost, he should have won the other 2 games. The defense fell apart in Indianapolis, and the game in Pittsburgh is just they came out so flat. Sanchez brought him back. If they got the ball, if he got the ball one more time, they were beating the Steelers and going to the Super Bowl. That was going to happen.
Oh yeah, it was. The energy was, the momentum was going towards the Jets. It's just a shame the defense couldn't get off the field, and that's why
they couldn't get off the field.
No, that's why the defense, it can't be the same way now, because especially with this defense that they have, you got Quinnen Williams under center now. You have all these defensive pieces here. We can't make those same mistakes in the past. And I love DJ Reed and Gardner. I think that's a dynamic duo. What are your thoughts? How about if they did re-sign Quan Alexander? I know he's a fan favorite.
I'd be okay with it, but I think Sherwood has shown me enough where I think he could get the job done. Because you got to remember something now in today's NFL, the days of playing 3 linebackers, three downs, it's just not there anymore because of the way the passing game is evolved. So after first down, most teams in second and third down, they're in nickel anyway, and they got a linebacker off the field. So I think the urgency for like a stud third linebacker, I don't think it's really needed anymore. Almost like the running back has been downgraded so much. It's incredible.
Yeah. Especially you see all the contract situations going around in the NFL with Barkley and everything. I think he did finally agree to his contract. I guess he's going to be playing this season, but how about the kicker and punter positions this year? I think the fact that we're not going to have to see the same people as last year is great, because that was a big issue on special teams.
Well, yeah, no, I like Morstead, and I think I liked Zerline a lot last year.
Yeah.
He had a couple probably should have made, but he made that 50 or he might have 60-yarder in Minnesota, and he had another 50. I mean, the guy's got a big time leg, so I think special teams will be good. It's like I said, my two biggest question marks is the head coach ready for prime time, and what's going to happen at left tackle. That's it. That's it. If they stay healthy, those are my only two concerns.
Yeah. And the coach better be ready, because now it's going to be his head. If he's going to be making those time mistakes like last year, if he's going to continue to show those head coaching mistakes he made last year, he's going to hear it.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. And you know what? I think at least on the offense, usually that happens on the offensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. I think having a guy like Rodgers, I think will probably cover up for maybe some of Salah's learning deficiencies right now as for game management and time and clock.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to happen with Rodgers. He's not going to let the play clock run down. He's good. I think Salah's going to be a lot more comfortable when the Jets have when their offense is on the field, mm-hmm. and with Rodgers making those decisions. I think a little bit of the pressure comes off of Salah, even though he is the head coach.
Yeah,
and his defense will only look better because I'm not an analytics guy. I don't have numbers in front of me. But let's say the defense was on the field for, I don't know, say 70 snaps, 65 snaps a game last year. Mm-hmm. So you may take 10, 15 snaps off because the Jets aren't going to be throwing so many 3 and outs because you got a professional offense and a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
So the defense is going to spend probably 5 to 10 minutes a game less on the field, so they're going to be fresher, and I think they're going to be better because of it.
Yeah. I agree. It's going to be exciting to see, and you see all the reporters are happy about it, saying this is night and day compared to what we had in the past. When we look at Hackenberg and Petty and Darnold and all these terrible guys that we had in before now, they said it's night and day. And you're going to see Rodgers. He's, like you said, he's elevating everyone's play. It makes so much of a difference when you have a quarterback who knows what they're doing and has accomplished so much.
Well, that was my initial impression for the first couple of practices. It's like, what am I watching? Is this really the New York Jets? Because I'm not used to going to a practice and wanting to see the development of a quarterback. It's like it just doesn't sit with me well. It's just I'm not used to it.
No,
I mean, you go there, and for the last 20 years, okay, let's see if he took the next step. Let's see if he got his footwork down. Let's see if he could hit a guy on the slant. I'm not even thinking that anymore.
No, we're thinking Super Bowl now. And this is why when people tell me that I'm nuts when I say that, because they're thinking of Rodgers last season. He was in a toxic situation in Green Bay. Plus, he was playing injured. He was playing with a bad thumb injury. So now he's got his old offensive coordinator back here. He's happy. He's got chips on his shoulder. You're going to be getting MVP Rodgers.
You will. And you know what? If you had Rodgers on the Jets last year,
they would have made the playoffs
with the same injury problems and the numbers he put up. They go to the second round of the playoffs. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, Wilson was their downfall. That I don't want to see any more. That's why we really have to enjoy these 2 to 3 years, because this is the most we're going to get, because we're not going to see.
You know after this it's all downhill. You know that.
Yeah, it's the abyss again. We're gonna go back to the bottom of the ocean. It's not. Yeah, we better enjoy it now, because they really, unless they do another option where Woody wants to continue his trail of winning, and he trades or signs another big-time quarterback that's looking to get out of a situation, they can't draft one to save their lives.
No, don't ever trade. No, never use a first-round pick on a quarterback. Not for the Jets organization.
No, it's always when you just look back at these guys, Hackenberg, Petty, all the guys I grew up seeing, Darnold, and
Greg McElroy.
Greg McElroy.
Oh my God! It's just you can't make it up.
No,
you're real. I mean, there's been so many off the end of I'm just tired. I can't think off the top of my head. There's been
McCown.
so many quarterbacks. Oh, it's really. You had Michael Vick at the end of his career. It just.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about Michael Vick. Yeah.
Yeah, you had Michael Vick. You had Mark Brunell as a backup.
Oh.
I mean, and you could go back years and years and years. It's just it's never ending. It really isn't. But
No.
we turned the page. We're in the Rodgers era for now. And listen, if he wins the Super Bowl this year and he wants to go right off into the sunset, I'm good with it.
Oh, I am too.
No problem.
All I need to see is one. That's it. That you've seen one. I haven't seen that. I need to see one. It's been 13 years since we've made the playoffs. If you win us the Super Bowl this year, I don't have to see one ever again. I would be nice to see one again, but
no,
I need to see one.
You're 2 years right. You'll get your one.
Yeah.
But don't ever say you don't need to see another one, because that's what happened to me. Because let's see, what 1968, the 68 seasons. I was about 14. So they win it, and okay, well, this is great. This is going to be like next 3 out of 5 years. And now it's 54 years later, and they haven't been back.
Horrible in the playoff stretch. They haven't even been back. You're right. They haven't even been back to one. Forget about winning one. They haven't even been back to one. Oh.
No. You know what? And not too many. Everybody talks about the gas. The mistake at the lake. With
Browns.
Now, and then you talk about the Mud Bowl, and you talk about the Steeler game, and then all these other. But you know which one that doesn't really get the recognition of failures that it should get is the 98 game against the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
They were 23 minutes away from going to the Super Bowl with a 10-0 lead, and they collapsed. And all the veterans were the ones that collapsed. It was Curtis, it was Keith Byers, it was Dave Meggett, it was Victor Green. It was like all the leaders of the team. They just I don't know what happened.
Unbelievable. You're right. That never gets talked about.
That was a brutal loss. A brutal loss.
Oh.
Because they would have blown the Falcons out in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. No, I agree. When you look back at the teams, the Jets would have been the favorite. You can't really question it. I think what my most depressing losses at Jeff, I could think of two. The Steeler game, of course. I mean, the Indianapolis game because it's a championship. But what was more brutal to me was that Fitzpatrick year in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Horrible. That was horrible. The Steeler game and the Fitzpatrick, those are the two worst losses as a Jeff fan I have ever seen.
And I was devastated after that 15 game. And to this day, I always get this in the same section.
Oh, okay? You told me about this. You see that interception that Fitzpatrick threw in Buffalo.
Every time I walk into that stadium, I see McKelvin getting that pick in the end zone. Every time. It could be cold, it could be warm, the sun could be out, it could be snowing. I see McKelvin getting that pick every time I walk into that stadium. I'll never get over that one, and it's crazy because I thought they were going to go on a magical ride if they got into the playoffs. Oh,
I did too. I bought all into it because of Fitzmagic and just the numbers that him and Decker were putting up that year. The defense was solid. They collapsed. Fitzpatrick. That game is all on Fitzpatrick. I don't care what anyone said. And Revis was getting burned a lot in that game with Watkins. We know what happened. The defense couldn't get off the field, but besides that, Fitzpatrick was throwing interceptions left and right. So
it was awful. But I remember calling Joe before the game, like I do every game, and they said, "Joe, it ain't happening today." I could just first of all, it was brutally cold. Okay, these players, number one, the effort and the emotions that were put in to beat the Patriots the week before. Same thing happened in 2010. To beat the Pats and then go up to Pittsburgh, okay, and the same thing happened. They beat the Pats at home. They go to Buffalo. They just didn't carry the emotion from one week to the next. And I saw when they came out, they didn't want any part of the cold. They didn't want it. They weren't into it. I could tell by the warm-ups.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I called Joe before the game. I said, I hate to tell you this, man, it ain't happening. And unfortunately, I was right.
Yeah, no, one of the worst losses out of the two that I've seen. I've seen a lot of terrible Jet losses, but when we talk about playoffs or on the verge of it, Yeah, those are the two that rank right up there for me. Jerseys. Are we staying away? I got rid of my Zach Wilson jersey. I couldn't. I didn't want it in my closet. Was able to get some profit off of it. But are you going to be getting any jerseys? Are you staying? I'm staying away from all of them.
I'm out of all. I'm not a jersey. I can't. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I wear leisure wear, and that's it. I still have my name. It's a throwback jersey. You know, I have a Corbett hanging up somewhere. Vinny, I got Pennington somewhere. But no. But I never wear them anymore. I'm just at the point where, I just think players should wear jerseys.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Oh yeah, stay away from that. I'm definitely not grabbing that. The only way I'm going to grab a Rodgers jersey or any of these guys, 'cause I don't want to jinx any of them. I had the Muhammad Wilkerson. I had the Decker. Yeah, no, I'm not buying any of them. The only way I'm going to get one is when they win that Super Bowl. They have
Don't
to
even
win.
do that. Buy yourself a nice pullover, and then you'll. I got you. You got time for a quick Herman Edwards funny story about jerseys?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Okay, you know Captain Jet. You've seen him on TV.
Yeah.
The guy falls asleep. Okay, with the cape and the whole bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're out at Hofstra one day. It was like the first day of practice, and it was brutally hot. It had to be like 100-degree day, and he was a lot younger at that time, and he's chanting and screaming. And, he's actually disrupting practice. So finally, Herman, he couldn't take it anymore. He blows the whistle, stops practice. He walks over to the stands, and he says, come on down here. And, right away, he backed off. He said, no, come on, you're wearing the jersey. You want to be a player, come on the field. And then the fans say, oh, go. He gets on the field, and he gives them, like the blocking pads. And he says, you stand there, and they had two of the gunners from the punt return. One was the kid McClover, big kid, right? And he says, okay, now these two guys, we want you to block them. So he goes out there, got the cape on and, his whole outfit. Mm-hmm. And he's standing there about 30 yards away. Well, and I'm sure Herm said, don't lay a finger on this guy, right? So, he blows the whistle, the play starts. These two guys go running like they're covering a punt. They get about 10 yards close to him. Mm-hmm. He throws the blocking dummy up in the air and runs away. That's probably one of my greatest camp highlights ever.
No, it definitely was. It does sound like it was a moment of time right there.
That's a long time ago, man.
You got to cherish these moments, though, because the hysterical moments don't really come. We're usually crying and screaming and yelling if we're a Jet fan.
Well, no, I'm crying with joy now watching Rodgers.
Oh, yeah, I am too. It's beautiful.
I walk away with tears rolling out of my eyes because I can't believe what I'm watching.
Well, you said it earlier because we're always looking for that quarterback. They take the next step. Now I'm seeing all these beautiful spirals being thrown to Garrett. Well, it's like I've never seen this before. That's why.
No. And I was too young to appreciate Namath. So, and Vinny threw a nice ball. Brian had a nice ball, but it just. By the way, Michael Vick had a tremendous arm.
Yeah, he did.
He could sling it really good, but no, this is something very special, and we should embrace it, cherish it, and let's hope for the best for either this year or next year. And I have a really good feeling that something's going to get done within the next 2 years.
Yeah, I do too, because if it doesn't in those 2 years.
No, it's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. I don't want to say it, but it's never going to happen.
It never. It'll be 100. It was 54 now. You'll be around, and you'll be an older man, and you're going to probably get somebody else on your radio show, and you're going to say, "Well, it's 108 years since the Jets have been to the Super Bowl."
I don't want to even think about that. That's
no. Enjoy the moment. I think it's coming within the next 2 years.
Oh, it better be. And the Jets deserve it. The parades, everything. Because all the bandwagon Jet fans, they're coming out of the woodwork now. They're going to be wearing the Rodgers jersey. Because Rodgers has the #1 selling jersey right now. I was reading online. So
I would figure that was the case.
Yeah,
I would figure that
you're
was
going to
the
see
case.
all these bandwagon Jet fans, and they really don't understand the pain that we've been through. You've been through it way longer than I have, but yeah, they have no idea. They're just here for the glory, and that's it.
They're here for the glory. Oh, wait till you see. Wait till when the cameras scan all the celebrities on the sideline.
Oh,
It's going to be like nauseating. I mean, all these people coming out of the woodwork all of a sudden they're Jet fans. I mean, give me a break.
oh, you're going to see it. It's going to be like the Knicks. It's going to be like a Knicks game.
It'll be like Celebrity Row.
Yeah.
It'll be like Celebrity Row. That's right. That's right. They'll all be there. They'll all be there.
Oh,
You know?
and Rodgers is the king of New York now.
Well, I could you imagine? You'll see Taylor Swift throwing out the doing the coin toss for opening night. You know, since he's such a big Taylor Swift fan.
Yeah.
You know, I could see the Jets rolling in Taylor Swift to do the coin toss for opening night.
Did you see the clip of him at the concert and he was screaming when the confetti was coming down at Taylor Swift's concert? The Jets won the Super Bowl. Did you see that?
Yep. Yeah, it's funny, but like I said, you know, enjoy it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and let's hope the next conversation we have, either the light comes on for Becton, or maybe we get lucky and find a tackle, or whatever the situation is. But you know, let's hope that last piece of the puzzle is put together.
Yeah, I'm hoping for Dalvin Cook and then the replacement for Becton. That's what I'm. Cook, I get if Hall's still, because like you said, I don't want to rush him back yet and work him to death right away, because he really was that whole team last year. When we look at that beginning, he was the whole, besides Garrett Wilson and Gardner, the offense, that was it. Once he went down, that was it.
Oh, he was going on a big time year. Yeah, he was probably going for a 1,610 touchdown type of year.
Yeah. I just don't know if we could put all that pressure on him right away. I don't think we should. That's why it's smarter to bring Cook in.
Yeah, well, or Kareem Hunt or whoever's out there.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt's another great option.
You can't expect Hall to come out and give you 15 touches a game out of the gate. You can't do it.
No,
because you know, it's not only is it not fair to him, it's not fair to the team, because I don't think he's going to. I just don't think he's going to be right. You know, he'll contribute, but you know, let the guy come along slowly. You know, you know what I want. Whether it was Cook, Hunt, you, me, whoever the running backs are, I want Hall that right after for that Black Friday, that Thanksgiving game against the Dolphins, he comes out there and now he's at full speed and he lifts about 150 yards off against the Dolphins.
Oh yeah,
and from there he carries you into the bad weather, the Northeast, the playoff run, the Super Bowl, and that would be unbelievable. Get a 100%, you know, Breece Hall, you know, the second half of the season.
Yeah, no, that's what we need. That's what I hope we see that. But Ira, anything else you want to let the listeners know that we didn't talk about before we check out of here?
No, I think it's all good, and let's hope that you know, we get off to that great start like we're anticipating, and that you know what, when camp's over, all I'm looking for at this stage of the game, everybody stay healthy. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Because it's a good team. I don't need to know about anything except health. That's it.
Yeah. No controversies. No bet. You know what does scare me? You see all the betting go around and all the players that get suspended of that. The Jets players better be staying away from that.
Well, I would hope so. I mean, you know, I'm sure it's been going on for years. I mean, I'm not going to. You're telling me like you got some player on it in any sport. If they know something's not right for a game, you don't think they you know, if they have a friend and he says, oh, by the way, you know, how you guys looking today? And well, you know, this guy's sick, or this guy has life problems, or you know, there's a situation in the office. And come on, you're telling me these guys haven't told friends and friends haven't made bets? Come on, it's been going on forever.
Oh, no, you're right. You're right about that. Ira, until the next time, man, we'll check back in soon, and go Jets. I look forward to hearing everything that you see at camp, and with preseason on the way here. I really don't care about it as long as there's no injuries. And let's beat the Eagles this year. I'm going to say that. Can we beat the Eagles this year? That would be nice. That
would be very nice. What are we, like 0-7, 0-9, whatever it is? But you beat the Eagles. And how about we talk right after camp and see where we're at?
Yeah, let's do it, Ira. I look forward to it. Enjoy the rest of your night. Take care, stay safe, and go Jets.
Go Jets. I appreciate you having me.
Of course, Ira, anytime. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye bye.